to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 5, Episode 2.
Or Episode 96 if you're counting.
This is a little different than usual. We're kind of going through an experimental phase with the show, so please bear with us. Let us know how well you can hear us right now, and if anything really kind of is wonky. This is the first time I've moved from the laptop over to the PC. It's our first time using the green screen, and our shoulders are cut off. Well, I go over here. Where did I go?
Get back over here. We're doing a show. You don't have time to disappear right now.
I'm sorry.
We're doing things live. Trying to be professional. What the hell?
I'm very scared of how this is gonna go, because this is scary new territory for us.
What are you talking about, new territory? This is your PC chair.
This is a new universe. I'm exploring a whole new galaxy.
We're in the apartment. We're fine.
I don't know. The apartment might burn down.
It might burn down.
God, I hope not.
Hopefully not tonight.
Thank you very much, as always, to our Patreon contributors who've been contributing over at patreon.com/MarsGirl. I'm realizing it's super hard to read the ticker, so I'm going to have to do something about that in the future. But our folks over at patreon.com/MarsGirl are in the ticker, and they help us out every week, and this show and other shows like it would not happen without you guys.
Yes.
So what else is going on?
Well, we did get back from Jurassic World.
That we did. Which we did a vlog on.
We did a vlog
on
it.
So, we're not gonna, do any spoilers of it or anything, but we did do it in 3D and in D-Box, which was an experience.
See, I told you it would be better with D-Box. Was I right?
No, I said the only way to experience for me to enjoy it would be in D-Box.
Was that correct? Was that correct?
I think so.
Okay, good. But see, the thing about it was, that was we've been having this conversation with several people over the last week or two. That was the last movie this summer that we're excited for. Because other than that, everything coming out just doesn't do it.
Yeah, I kind of don't care about anything else until Star Wars, and that's not until December. I mean,
yeah, 'cause,
we know Fantastic Four is gonna be a thing
in
for
August.
some reason, and then
Ant-Man before that, which I barely started learning this week. Oh yeah, it's next month.
Yeah, see, we keep forgetting that it's even gonna be a thing. And
that Pixar movie comes out tomorrow, Inside Out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see,
it looks like a movie. It looks cute. I'm not excited for it.
Yeah. But it says something when, after a certain point, I don't think, we're not into July yet. The summer's not even half over to me.
No, it's not in the slightest.
And we're already at this point where we're just can we get to the fall and winter movies? Because this just isn't going to do it for me.
No.
Is there anything else that we can do? You want to play a board game, do some crosswords, some Sudoku, anything? Because I really don't care about Fantastic Four or Ant-Man at this point. Unfortunately, I'll have to admit we still haven't watched Mad Max yet. We need to get to that.
Which now maybe I can use that free pass on, since it's been
so
long.
Now you can use the free pass. That's right.
Yeah, I think I can.
So long as it's still at the theater.
Yeah.
So here's hoping. We still got one free pass. Hopefully we're going to make good on that.
Mm-hmm.
But that having been said, we got a lot of show to get to tonight, so we'll go ahead and talk about tonight's topics.
Yeah, for sure. So, first of all, as we all know, E3 has been a big old thing this past week, and we're going to talk about the majority of what it is we found interesting or uninteresting about E3. Just lots and lots of things to kind of throw at you and see what sticks.
Yes. Second story is something we might have mentioned in passing, but here we're going to actually treat as a full story. So Bruce Timm, who's really considered the father of the DC animated universe, is doing his own new take on a lot of the characters in the DC universe called Justice League Gods and Monsters, and a few snippets of footage have been released online, and we're going to talk about that and just how the project's coming along.
And then finally, Josh insisted that this needed to be a separate story, and maybe since I can go off for so long, it can be, but we wanted to specifically talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I think I can elaborate more in regards to Square Enix and their company-wide behavior when it comes to this remake. And there's a ton of hype. Even I got emotional. I'll say emotional because I'm not going to describe what emotion that was.
lot of
when the
emotions.
reveal came out. So there's a lot to be said, and I'm not going to say it all right here, right now. But I guess that does need to be separate from E3, because I can only say a little about a lot of things, but I can say a lot about this one thing.
Yes.
Yes.
So be looking forward to that towards the end of the show.
Yes.
But before that, we've always got our follow-ups, so here we go. So first follow-up we're going to have is today actually was day one of shooting the new Ghostbusters movie, and here you can see Kristen Wiig there on set, dressed surprisingly frumpy. We also have pictures...
I don't know about frumpy, more like a school teacher, really?
Yeah, frumpy.
No, frumpy is... That's not what
I don't know. I
frumpy
kind
means.
of equate school teacher to frumpy for the most part.
That's not what frumpy means. I dress frumpy.
I don't think you dress that frumpy.
I think
this
I
is a
dress
little more
frumpy.
frumpy. Well, okay, she's dressed a little more stick up your butt. How about that?
Perhaps.
Okay, stick up your
perhaps
butt.
That's all right.
Good. Okay. Well, yeah. There we have her on set. We also have pictures of Melissa McCarthy and Kate McKinnon there on set as well. Can't really tell too much from this. I'm guessing this is early on in the movie. I get the feeling that my my theory on who Kate McKinnon was playing is probably accurate. You know, I proposed that she was probably playing the Egon of the group, and if you take a good look at her get up there, specifically with the face, she's got the blonde hair and kind of these... I don't want to call them steampunk. There's a specific word for those kind of sunglasses, but she looks the closest to animated Egon. So I'm wondering whether or not that's what they were going for there. But yes, shooting has begun. They've confirmed there's more than likely going to be slime, so that's a holdover. The director's gone on record as saying it's going to be interesting showing just how they came up with the technology for catching ghosts, what it's like to show them take the ride from, you know, 4 ordinary women to being Ghostbusters. So hopefully we'll get more set pics and maybe something in a jumpsuit and a proton pack later on.
That would be nice, because that's Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that's Ghostbusters. That's what people want to see. That and the Ecto-1. Okay, so moving on to other news. So Saban, right? Okay, I gotta get into this clear enough. So Saban has a Tumblr account where they post a lot of Power Rangers stuff, as they are wont to do. The thing about it is, over the last month or two, they've been starting to post more and more pictures of things from Super Sentai that don't necessarily have any meaning over here, or just haven't been mentioned at all. You know, they've already shown Ranger suits that nobody recognizes over here in Super Megaforce, but now they're taking it a little further. So about, let's say about a week ago, they post this GIF online, which Super Sentai fans would know is from a crossover movie with the Kyoryugers, where the other dinosaur Sentai teams showed up. The thing is, Saban reblogged this picture, no context, just here's the picture. And now people are assuming that that crossover is going to happen over here, the American version.
I'm telling you, though, Saban has made stupid mistakes like that before, and they're
my thoughts exactly.
They're not legit. So people expecting anything out of that, I think, are expecting too much, because Saban has no idea what it is that they use as promotional material. They trust the internet to provide them with promotional material and not their own source footage. It's so stupid.
I know. I'll go ahead and show you guys here in the chat the picture.
Yeah, because I don't have that picture readily available.
But the thing about it is, the other one they showed was a clip from a Akiba Ranger, and it was from the Powerful Rangers episode. So the people at Saban would be like, well, that looks like the Green Ranger and the Red Ranger, that's fine. I don't notice the fact that they're wearing red, white, and blue on their necks and their belts, that this isn't regular footage.
No.
But people caught on very quickly.
Or in the past, they've used TV Nihon fan subs in their promotional
At a
material.
licensing expo.
At a licensing expo. Fan subs. And, you know, then the people who watch fan subs are like, oh, that means they totally understand and appreciate fan subs. No, they do not. It's just they have the wrong people working on the promotional material for their product. Capcom has made a very similar mistake, hello Cat, where they used a fan-made Phoenix Wright game.
Yes.
And it's fake cover art for its fake box. And then slapped it up on their own store and called it one of their Phoenix Wright games, because they did zero research, they didn't go into their own library of images, and they just grabbed a picture off the internet and posted it on their store
you guys
page.
have access to that, why don't you just use your own archive? Just saying.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on to other news. So, of course, we mentioned that we saw Jurassic World, but we didn't mention how much money it did, and it did very large numbers. I was going to make a pun there, but I chose not to.
I don't even know what pun you were going to go for.
A Jurassic-sized
that would have been really not only stupid, but it would have just sounded bad.
Yeah, I avoided it.
Okay, good. I'm proud of you.
Okay, that means I'm going to make one later. Point being, it has made globally over $500 million at the box office.
Pretty hardcore.
Third biggest opening. They beat out Avengers this year, and of course, I think you've got this picture up here. Marvel sent a congratulatory picture to Universal for beating out the Avengers. There, of course, you can see Star-Lord riding atop a T-Rex holding Thor's hammer. Apparently the T-Rex is worthy, but okay.
Also, how did the T-Rex reach down? Like, did Thor hand him the hammer? Because that's the only way the T-Rex would be able to reach
the way I see it is if the T-Rex is worthy, he could just kind of reach out his little nub, and then the hammer would come to it.
Right, you're right.
Now, the funny thing I want to see now is that T-Rex flying, trying to do the...
Yeah.
See, somebody make a picture of that. You guys can make fan art, so many other things. Make a picture of that. But yes, that is no number to scoff at. There's probably another sequel coming.
Well, we know there is already because Chris Pratt's already been confirmed for the next one.
That's right. He signed a multi-picture contract. That's right. So yeah, that's huge numbers. You guys haven't had a chance to go see it. That's cool. Okay, so moving on to other news. We have confirmation of The Flash Season 1 is going to be on DVD and Blu-ray starting September 22nd. Just giving you guys a heads up on that. We also have confirmation that Heroes Reborn is going to have a panel at San Diego Comic-Con. So
interesting, yeah.
Wanted to make you guys aware of that. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but I just wanted to mention this. There's a new... trailer out, I guess, for this Lego Dimensions game that they've got coming out later this year. And of course the whole thing is that we're crossing over different IPs, you know, Batman, Lord of the Rings, the Lego movie, so on and so forth.
Probably costs them so much movie to acquire all these rights.
So much movie?
Money to acquire all the rights to all these movies.
Yes.
And such.
But apparently...
which I guess, they have a ton of rights already because they already make those Lego properties.
Right. But the interesting thing now is not only are they doing movies, they're also doing other video games, namely Portal. And there's this very fun little trailer that's online now of Gandalf, Wildstyle, and Batman using portals in the game, and then you've got Wheatley and GLaDOS there as well, original voices too. So that's going to be an interesting take on the gameplay, further distinguishing it from something like Disney Infinity.
And really, it kind of looks like it's another Portal game down at its core. Like, I don't know how long that part of the game lasts or anything, but it looks like there's some legit new puzzles that go right along with it. So it looks like it's gonna feel like another Portal game, but with Lego characters in it from other different licensed properties.
And then, of course, there is also a Lego version of the protagonist from Portal there. Does she have a name? I keep forgetting. Shell. Okay. You'll also be able to have those. I imagine those keychains will sell out very fast.
More than likely, yes.
Yes. So moving on to other news. So we don't have any positive news, really positive much of anything to say about Terminator Genisys anymore. But an interesting promotional thing happened earlier. Arnold Schwarzenegger appeared at Madame Tussauds House of Wax, posed as himself as the T-800, and was freaking people out there at Madame Tussauds. They posed next to him, and then he'd come to life. You want me to hold the camera? And he was scaring babies, and that was fun.
Yeah, scaring babies is hilarious.
You have a good...
I have a good track record of scaring babies.
You love doing that. I don't shrug it off. I just wish we filmed more of it. That's the only thing there.
Do too.
And then, interesting bit of news. Forrest Whitaker apparently has been cast in the Star Wars Rogue One spin-off movie. No word yet on who he's playing, but of course, details are still scarce on that. But of course, we'll have more on that come San Diego Comic-Con or thereabouts. And then the last follow-up we have for this evening is an interesting one. We've covered things having to do with Rurouni Kenshin before, of course, the live-action movie, which did great, all 3 movies. Now, apparently, the famous all-female troupe Takarazuka will be adapting Rurouni Kenshin into a stage play.
For those of you who don't know what Takarazuka is, they're musical theater, Japanese musical theater, and it's a troupe of all women, as Josh has said, and they've been going on for... decades and decades this troupe has been performing.
Better part of 20 years, right?
Oh, longer than. They have a longer history than that. They just haven't been filming their performances for that
That's
long.
probably what it is.
In fact, some of you might know them, perhaps, just because this picked up fire a few years ago. Like this, for example, is an image of the Takarazuka performance of their first Phoenix Wright stage performance, stage musical, and that's a very beautiful, gorgeous phoenix. What's funny is that in that musical, they refer to those characters by their American adaptation names, so despite the fact that in Japan, that character's name is Naruhodo,
Ryuichi Naruhodo.
They refer to him as Phoenix, which is really interesting, but really, imagine really beautiful, gorgeous Kenshin and Sanosuke and all these other characters.
Aoshi, like, it's kind of hard thinking about that beautiful-looking Shishio. How's that gonna work on stage? I don't even know.
It depends on where does it say where they're picking up in the story? Does it say what their performance includes?
Not as of yet, I don't think. But I imagine they're starting at the beginning. That way they can do several of them.
Yeah, because they did 2 or 3 Phoenix Wright productions. I would really love, actually, to see this Rurouni Kenshin.
No, they haven't
production.
said yet.
Okay, then we'll find out soon.
But odds are they're just going to start from the beginning like everybody else does. But yeah, that's going to do it for tonight's follow-ups.
All right, fantastic. So, I guess we're going to start off with some E3.
E3, alright.
Picture of the E3 logo, okay.
So, a lot of news to cover. A lot of news. Because E3 lasted for really just the first part of this week, and now it's just floor stuff and after parties
and trickling in of little pieces of information from the floor, like you said. So really, I think the whole thing kind of got kicked off through Nintendo and the Nintendo World Championships, which
Sunday night,
which really wasn't, nothing too newsworthy. It was very entertaining. It felt like childhood again, really.
A little bit.
Realizing, oh man, what's coming up next? And some of those competitors were really, really good. Also, watching just as filler material, Reggie going against the second place winner of last year's Smash tournament.
And Reggie got smoked.
Yeah, at one point he just respawned and then immediately fell off the stage and died. He's not a Smash player by any stretch of the imagination.
Nope.
But it was a very fun experience. That same day, they kind of announced to, no epic fanfare and no swan song, just suddenly, hey, you guys have been wanting Mother for a long time, right?
Yeah, we've been wanting Mother. We've been complaining you never give us Mother.
Here it is today on Wii U Virtual Console as Earthbound Beginnings.
What?
Boom, $15. Okay, go buy it. And that was it.
That was it. That's as much song and dance as they gave to Mother. I'm sorry, Earthbound Origins. But now it's like
Earthbound Beginnings.
Oh, Beginnings. Sorry. But point being, for something that fans have been clamoring for so long, to have no major announcement, just a footnote of, oh, here you go. Like, no, give it a little more pomp and circumstance than that.
But later on, Nintendo fared a little bit better with their digital event a couple of days later. There was, oh man, everyone is talking about the intro with the puppets of Reggie and Miyamoto and Iwata.
Those puppets look so good.
They were fantastic puppets, and I'm pretty sure it was confirmed that, yes, it was Jim Henson Studios who created those puppets.
I can't even... Nintendo 62, Nintendo 63, Nintendo 64. My puppet body is ready. They knew exactly what they were doing.
No, Reggie is super aware of his meme and his meme capabilities at this point. It's super hyper aware.
Yes.
But that was probably one of the most fantastic introductions of Star Fox Zero they could have possibly chosen.
Finally a new Star Fox game.
Which we knew was happening. We knew it, but we hadn't really seen much of anything about it. Using the Wii U pad, in order to control your ship. Looks totally fun. It just looks like a fun game that still feels like a classic Star Fox game, with awesome your ship transforming into awesome walking mech things. It was supposed to have been there.
It kind of looked like a mouser to me.
It was supposed to have been there in Star Fox 2, which kind of didn't reach completion, and now Miyamoto is like super thrilled that it gets to be in there.
People were a little disappointed that we didn't hear more about the new Zelda game that they're supposed to have coming out for the Wii U, but hopefully we're going to hear more about that later on in a different conference. So.
There were a couple of other Zelda titles, another game where you get to be on your 3DS and partner up with 2 other players, very Four Swords-esque, but it's only with 3 people. Plus the port of Hyrule Warriors to 3DS.
I'm grabbing that.
It'll give us the opportunity to play it because we don't have a Wii U. But man,
yet.
Yeah, I so want a Wii U though. That Star Fox game, like, if Splatoon hasn't been doing it for you, I think that Star Fox game will do it.
Absolutely.
But I think overall most people, were disappointed with Nintendo's digital conference. I think it was okay.
Well, because you have to remember...
Nintendo provides information all the time.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. You don't have to worry too much about that because they're constantly keeping you updated. They don't necessarily need E3. They're giving you information all the time.
No, it was just nice and fun. They had a lot more information about Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's very cute.
Yoshi's Woolly World ain't got nothing on that Unraveled game.
Which one is the...
With the cute little red yarn guy?
Yeah.
See, you want to talk about yarn guys? This guy's the new yarn guy.
Which conference was that during? Was that during, EA's?
I believe so.
Somebody else can tell me that.
Yes.
EA, I only got to see bits and pieces of it. And, I was at work at the time, and when I left work, because I left work during EA's conference, they were talking about sports. And then by the time I got back home, which takes 15 to 20 minutes, they were still talking about sports. Like, for some reason, sports titles sell. And I don't know why that is, but they do. They sell. And so it's an important thing for them to hit on during E3, but so many people were just like, oh my god,
like some of you guys saw me tweet it. During that whole session, it was like, 20 minutes straight of sports titles. I just put on, went on YouTube, typed in Charlie Brown teacher, and just over every sports title. All right, now next for man. Like that's all I heard. That's all I cared to hear because whatever.
And then at some point they unveiled Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. At which point, when they rounded that section out comes this...
No, it's at the beginning of the section.
No, I'm pretty sure it was
the end. No, it was the beginning.
It doesn't matter. The zombie costume thing plods out onto the stage with this big mascot head. Wow. Kinda creepy. Now they
could have done that better, is what we're saying.
Now, they did also unveil a new Mass Effect game, which sounds super cool.
Yes, Mass Effect Andromeda.
Takes place in another part of the universe with new characters. There's not a whole heck of a lot of information. We don't know what, if any, alien races will be reappearing within the game, but I'm super excited to learn about it because there's only so many kind of action, sci-fi, Western RPG shooters that I'm very interested in, but Mass Effect... Like, the first Mass Effect bored me, but, like, the second one was a sincere apology for the first one, and then the third one was, just, like, they perfected everything they could have done with it, and I thought it was fantastic.
Up till the ending.
Up until the ending, which, even then, like, I can't...
They fixed it.
Yeah, they fixed it later, but even then, I can't hate Mass Effect 3 as a whole just because of the ending.
Right.
So E3, EA's portion was, kind of hit and miss. I think Mass Effect was a win for sure.
Yes.
Ubisoft. I want to talk about Ubisoft here for a second. Okay, go ahead. Because Ubisoft really, they were talking a lot, and they wouldn't stop talking. And of course, we all knew there had to be yet another, what is your game that you do like out of Ubisoft? And the stabbies and the
Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, Assassin's
no.
Creed.
Well, no, see, that's the thing. I, like a lot of other fans, pretend that every Assassin's Creed after Revelations didn't happen. Okay. So by this point, it's like the sun is shining. It gets dark at night. There's another Assassin's Creed coming out. Like, what? It doesn't really matter because they had already announced Syndicate. So really, everything they showed was from Syndicate. So who friggin' cares? You talk about, forget that. Talk about why am I blanking out on company name?
I don't know. Who are you talking about?
They were their Sunday night Fallout.
Oh, yeah.
Bethesda, yes. Friggin' Fallout 4, all right? Fallout 4 looks amazing.
See, I liked Fallout 3, but I only liked it so much, and that's because to me it felt a little like you go and you talk to NPCs, and it's so stationary and so rigid. It feels slightly lifeless, despite the fact that really there is quite a lot of life in Fallout 3 and in New Vegas. But I really like the sound of the addition of voice acting for your lead character, for one thing, and for another thing, the dynamic camera that moves around while you're talking to these NPCs, so it doesn't just zoom in right on their face and it just sits there all rigid and stuff. And it's just like Skyrim, because, Bethesda made both games. But yeah, Fallout 4 looks great. There's a crafting system that I may or may not touch upon, because I'm actually not a huge crafting fan, but a lot of people are. So, and it does look very, very in-depth and intuitive, and you can build communities in it.
And then they also announced that companion app, Fallout Shelter.
Which it's not a companion app. It's a own separate game.
Well, yeah, they announced it at the same time is what I mean.
It's an entirely separate game, which is currently out on iOS. It came out the same day it was announced, and eventually it's going to make it to Android, but clearly Android was, thought of completely secondary.
Yeah, and of course to me, one of the more impressive things was they announced the Pip-Boy, the actual,
to come along with Fallout 4
for the collector's pack, which, as I understand, they've sold out of already.
I'm not so sure about that, but
I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt it. But it holds your mobile phone, your smartphone, and you can download the app for free. So even if you don't have the Pip-Boy, you can still use the app, and then you're touching and beeping and stuff, just like
in the game.
In the game on a Pip-Boy, which is such a fantastic way to interact with your game, because it functions along with your copy of the game, either for PS4 or Xbox One or PC. That's incredible. I love it. I absolutely love it.
And then the other major one from Sunday night was the new Doom they've got coming out.
Yes, which does look quite impressive. It looks gory.
Looks hella gory to me.
Hell looks pretty bright and sunny and shiny.
Like, hell, it must be spring in hell, because I can see everything clearly, and, it doesn't look nearly as frantic or, to me, kind of maddening as the original games were, because I even showed you before the show started, people are actually starting to mod, or not so much mod, edit the footage that was shown on Sunday to make it look and sound more like the original Doom.
Right, they slightly sped up the gameplay footage, they added the Doom theme on top of it, they made the weapons use classic weapon sound effects, and all
there's the story right there in the chat.
Yeah, and all the demons now make classic demon death noises, which really, as I'm watching that video, I'm like, you know what, it could have looked a little more like classic Doom. It really could have.
Hopefully they're not too far along to where they can listen to that and be like, you know what, let's not get too far away from what started this thing and take some of that into account, at least the color scheme.
Right. And then I think I really want to touch upon Sony for a second. I'm skipping tons and tons and tons of stuff because we only have so much time.
Right.
But we can totally talk about a lot more E3 in the post-show. But Sony, I would dare say, stole E3 from a lot of people. It just flat out stole E3. Take, for example, just the announcement that Sony is helping develop Shenmue 3.
Yes. So that got funded in what, less than
24 hours.
Was it less than 12 though?
I'm not sure. I'm not so sure about that. But for sure, within the first day, it got completely funded, which was $2 million to start with. Currently, they're up to over 3 million.
3.2, going on 3.3 million.
Which means they're already hitting stretch goals, and they have since added more stretch goals. So they've got subtitles in lots and lots of different languages, which they've already scored, you know, subtitled into German and French and Spanish and Italian, and now they've reached the rapport system. The next thing they have to reach is a skill tree system, and then they've added in a ton of stuff for the Baisha village to be expanded upon, which looks fantastic.
See, as happy as I am for fans of Shenmue 3, because honestly, I've never played, I feel a little bad for Bloodstained, because they had just gotten that honor of being the highest funded video game, right?
Yeah, to be crowdfunded, yes.
And now,
just happened, like, last week.
The week before. And now Shenmue 3 comes along, and just, they're gonna blow them out of the water at this point.
Easily, because they still have 27 days to go?
28 days.
They've got plenty of time to blow it out of the water. And, but all the same, man, the dude wanted so hard for so long to be able to finish the story of Shenmue. And actually, I come to find out through another news article, actually, getting the licensing for Shenmue was not difficult at all. Basically, all he had to do was ask Sega for permission to have it. And they were like, "Okay, we wouldn't want anyone else to touch it anyway." Which kind of in a way goes to show you Sega clearly was never gonna do crap with Shenmue.
Yeah.
Which, well, good on them for handing the property over so very nicely and kindly, but, man, Sega, you sure are dropping the ball. Like, dang, what's wrong with you? You could have done this, and it could
That's a whole nother show on what's wrong with Sega.
It could have made bank for them, and now they've given it all away. They just threw it all away.
At least it's happening. You know?
Yeah, at least it's happening.
There's a ton of other things we could talk about on the topic of E3, and you guys can go ahead and ask us that afterward. The only thing I'll say is that I kind of agree with the sentiment that a lot of people had, that just about every game that you were hoping got announced, with the exception of another Half-Life.
Yeah, exactly. And man, that PC conference went on
That was like
forever.
pulling teeth.
It's like 3 hours long for that thing. Now, granted, they had an interesting setup where it was like a talk show, like a late night talk show, and there's
a late night talk show I don't care about.
A host behind the desk, and he's got a couch to interview people.
Like,
in
I
the
was
industry.
there watching it while we were streaming with Roger the other night, and it was just, am I hearing anything? No. All right. And then it just went on like that for like an hour. It was, guys, if you're gonna do that again next year, a little more pep. Just a note. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that I guess we'll cover our E3 coverage for right now.
We can totally talk more about all these other companies that have unveiled all these other things in our post-show. If you choose to stick around for that at the end of the show, there is another story coming up about another very specific title and specific company. So just hold on for that.
Yes, that's coming.
So, but next, what have we got, Josh?
Justice League Gods and Monsters. Okay, so this particular title, we've already shown, or been shown, I should say, 3 shorts over on Machinima's YouTube channel focusing on our 3 main characters here, and these are not your traditional versions of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Each of them has a different identity now, different voice actors than you're used to. Batman, for example, isn't Bruce Wayne, he's Kirk Langstrom, who in the regular universe is Man-Bat. Superman is not the son of Jor-El, he's actually the son of General Zod.
He looks like it, too.
A little bit. And Wonder Woman is not from Themyscira, she's actually from the planet Apocalypse, where Darkseid hails from. So they all have very different origins, different upbringing. Superman, notably, did not grow up in Midwest U.S. He was raised by Mexican immigrants in this version, so he's got a completely different outlook on life. Batman is a vampire.
Yeah, that's a thing.
He's a vampire now. Okay, if you're going to really push the bat thing, I get it. And Wonder Woman is a little bit more battle hungry. Some other depictions of her have been such, but she's definitely got a little bit more sex drive in this version.
Very true, absolutely. Willing to have sex in the middle of a whole bunch of dead bodies is kind of uncomfortable.
A little uncomfortable. And I guess what we'll go ahead and do is just talk one by one right now about the different shorts that have come out, since you're going to have to wait until July 28th to watch the full movie when that's released on DVD.
Each of the shorts is between like 5.5 to 6 minutes long.
Give or take each.
So they're not very long. They're pretty easy to swallow in a single afternoon. I don't know.
Well, really, if you got 15 minutes, you could probably catch all three, and then, you know, just get it out of the way. So let's go ahead and just go down the list here. We'll go with Batman first. Batman's story has an interesting version of Harley Quinn there, who, again, is voiced by Tara Strong, who's been doing the voice since Arkham City.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little bit more psychotic. She's got a sledgehammer, not her traditional, you know, giant kind of goofy-looking hammer.
Yeah.
But she's definitely more psychotic, has this weird obsession with family. She's killed people and then strung them up to make them look like they're her family. Really, overall, the combining thread between all of them, not just the fact that Bruce Timm is making this, is the darker tone. And I'm wondering whether or not that's necessary.
Well, we kind of have to talk about the other two to kind of get that point across, too. Again, you described who Superman is, and for the most part, his behavior seems very similar to normal Superman up until the end. And I'm concerned about necessarily spoiling that, but it's only 5 minutes long, where Brainiac is a tiny baby child who's
created by the U.S. government.
And is sobbing and crying and can't control his own powers, and is telling Superman, I can't control my own powers, I don't know how to stop, do it. And you can tell that Superman heat visions him and
either lobotomized him or burned his head off, one or the other.
Has to put him down. Now, granted, yeah, he kills him, but he kind of looks up into the sky and he's like, oh, I wish I didn't have to do that. Like, he did it, but I still get this feeling like he really didn't want to, so he doesn't feel that different to me.
Well, I think about it, you know, traditional Clark Kent Superman would have handled that a little bit differently. You know, he would have tried to spare life as best he could, so I imagine he would have either taken him away to a different part of the city, or even out of a city to a less populated area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something non-lethal, since that's who Superman is. Listen up, Snyder. But point being, it's a different take on it. This Superman very quickly came to the decision of, I guess I gotta kill you.
Mm-hmm.
You cool with that? Alright, here we go. Like, traditional Clark Kent would have spent some time trying to figure that out, but this guy's like, I probably got something to do in 5 minutes. You mind if I just... Yeah?
No,
okay, we're good.
He got asked to do it, so he did it.
No, he asked him first, like, I can stop you. And then the kid was like, do it. The thing that freaks me out a little bit is the kid kept his eyes open.
Yeah.
Most other, you know, mediums where something like that has to happen, like a mercy killing, you've either got your back turned, or, you know, you're going to close your eyes, that way you don't see it. Like, I think back to Of Mice and Men. You don't want Lenny to see the gun, you know, if you're George. But here it's like, nope, looking right at you.
The kid was brave enough to do it. That was his choice. Leave him alone.
Well, I don't know if that's so much brave. It's a little weird because he's sobbing and crying like a small child, and then he very solemnly, very quickly actually, comes to the conclusion of, do it. And... that's it. He's gone.
And so we kind of already described Wonder Woman's segment about her being pretty bloodthirsty and war-hungry and very sex-driven.
See, her to me, she to me seems the least different, despite her origin being different. Yeah, I've seen a lot more, like, I think of the other animated movies, like the more recent ones, Throne of Atlantis and Justice League War. Those are the ones where she seemed the most happy to be in battle, and so did this one.
Yeah. Now, we say that maybe, is this necessary? Only because, like, Bruce Timm is allowed to do whatever the heck he wants to do, because he essentially was the father of this animated universe to begin with.
All the way back to Batman the Animated Series.
And anyway, it is a side you know, spin-off universe. It doesn't interfere with anything you already know and love. But at the same time, I get this feeling like he wanted to make this, I see a good and a bad out of it. The good shows that, oh, well, this animated stuff can, in fact, be used to tell more mature subject matter, to show more violence than you think is really capable of being shown in an animated feature, and we wanted to prove that we could do it, so that's good. But on the flip side, it kind of feels like it was for shock value. Like, not only can we do it, but we're gonna do it real hard, and we're gonna throw it in your face, and it's going to, or really throw you for a loop and shock you. It's just there, like, it just seemed like it's so in your face, I kind of don't want it, you know?
Well, I'll say this much, and I'll leave that much out for spoilers while saying that the end of the Batman portion where he defeats Harley Quinn, like, yeah, he shows his vampirism, but before that happens, something fairly gory happens to Harley Quinn, and I won't tell you what, but you'll see it, you'll know it when you see it. And that was a little bit, you know, pushing the envelope, and I like to think that with these last couple of direct-to-DVD movies, they have in little ways here and there been pushing the envelope of what they can do with these things. And because they're not being shown right away on network television, or at all for that matter, yeah, they have a better outlet for doing these things. They allow more cussing, more adult themes, and for the most part, I'm actually okay with that. It's just a matter of if it's told well. If he's still got the same attention to story as he does his, you know, trademark art style, then I'll be cool with it. I'll totally take this. And like you said, yeah, it's not going to ruin my memories of watching Superman the Animated Series or Justice League growing up. It'll be its own thing, and I can still come back to what I know I grew up with.
In a way, it's kind of like the expanded universe for Star Wars. Just because Lucasfilm has kind of eliminated the old expanded universe, it doesn't mean that those books and those comics go away.
Right.
And that you can't still enjoy them. And I feel the same way about this. Just because it's not my preference does not mean that the old stuff doesn't still exist and I can't still go back to it.
So basically the way I'm coming into this is I'm not 100% won over by it. I'm going to go on record as saying that now. But having said that, I am going to give this a chance, and I'm keeping an open mind to these new stories and how they play out over the hour 20 minutes, however long they're giving the runtime on this. But yeah, definitely you guys will have the chance, just like everybody else, to check this out come next month on the 28th. Be sure to either rent that, you know, Redbox it, or what other method you might use to watch such a thing.
Right.
So we've got about 15 minutes left in the show, and we're going to need all of it because...
I'm just going to let this play in the background. Oh, it just started wherever the hell it felt like starting. It doesn't matter. What you're looking at behind us is the new teaser trailer for the unveiling of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And yes, that is remake, and it is real after fans clamoring for it for years and years and years and years and years. And, so, like, I wasn't expecting it.
Let's go back to the uncovery of this, alright? So, Square Enix has their press conference.
No. This was during the Sony conference.
No, you're right. It was a Sony.
So, during the Sony conference, they get to, talking about this other new Final Fantasy called World of Final Fantasy, which looks cute, and it looks adorable, and they're cute, chubby little characters, and it's supposed to feel like you're playing with toys, so they say during the Square Enix conference. And it was like, oh... nobody wanted this. You could tell the audience, too, was like, nobody wanted this. Now, also think back to about 6 months ago, where...
with the massive trolling event.
With the the trolling event of 2014, where dude from Square Enix comes out, and he's, I think, a producer of the Kingdom Hearts franchise. And he's like, yes! Guess what? We're bringing Final Fantasy VII to PlayStation 4, and everyone's
fans are like,
oh
no, it's happening.
And instead, what plays is footage of what looks like the original adaptation, the original release of Final Fantasy VII. Turns out, it's just the Steam PC release getting ported over to PS4.
Bro, you got problem?
Your gun is green.
Oh, my gun is green. I should have brought the other gun. Dang, okay.
There you go.
Alright, bro, what's going on? We got problems?
And dudes like
people were mad.
People were mad. Dude was on stage laughing. Like, it was the worst thing. But here's what's funny. They were already producing...
They knew!
They were already producing the remake when he went up on stage to tell that. So he
Which
already
means
knew.
they trolled us even harder than we realized.
Yeah, so they unveil this, and dude representing Sony's up on stage, and the screen turns into a live stream, and everyone's like, oh my god, what? And then he's like, all these years ago, there was a game released that blah, 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 and everyone's going,
No. Like,
and now we've got a very special announcement. We're really excited to blah, blah, blah. Then this comes out, right? And it's here where you're starting to hear the music, and you see Cloud and Barrett walking up to Shinra through the slums, and everybody knows, oh, there's the logo. And then here in a second
Is it a
comes
movie?
the word remake. And you hear the audience go, that, and the dude on stage, he's laughing like, oh man, this is so great.
And I'm like, you a-hole. You friggin' a-hole. I can't believe... Because by this point, I think everybody's seen the footage of the game trailers guys watching it up in the booth.
Losing their dang minds.
Jumping
up out of their chairs. Walking around. Jumping on the desk. Like, they were like, oh my god, how did they keep this a secret?
No, this ain't right, man. This ain't right. This is a movie, man. And it's like watching a Vietnam flashback happen in front of your eyes, except it's happening in somebody else's head.
So, like, I had similar but different reactions. And, like, yeah, there's a part of me that wants so badly to get really excited. But really, my reaction, and I was on a Skype call here with Roger of Tainted Reality here in the chat room at the time, and we saw it, and then we see, the name, Tetsuya Nomura, and we're both like, no! That name! No! Like, we're getting a different kind of emotional.
Well, because you think about it now, Tetsuya Nomura is directing this now.
Yeah, because realize, who is it, Yoshinori Kitase? He's on this project still, and he was the original director, but he's not directing
now
this
he's
time.
producing.
Now he's producing rather than directing. That makes me nervous, for starters. Secondarily, clearly this is very Advent Children in visual nature.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that visual goes along with the story of Final Fantasy VII as it was originally presented to us in 1997. And I say that because there's a good, at least the first third to half of the game has parts in it that are really quite fun, quite funny, and very endearing. And
yes.
I don't know how that's supposed to translate in this kind of art style, you know?
Right.
And then you just know, especially because it's Tetsuya Nomura who's the director, he's gonna start inserting stuff from the compilation of Final Fantasy VII into the lore of Final Fantasy VII.
Well, see, here's the thing I'm thinking about, though, at least as far as the visuals go. Nomura already basically did the work he needed to for this because he already worked on Advent Children. He already worked on all of those spin-off titles. Mm-hmm. So everybody's gonna probably look either Advent Children-ish, or you even remember at the beginning of Advent Children, they show them dressed like they are in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't think that's a problem. I think that's absolutely fine.
In the grand scheme of things, that's the least of my concerns.
Right.
My concerns are
the changes to the gameplay that might be forthcoming.
Which actually now we know to be fact. Like, I thought, I know it's not going to be the same. It's not just going to be a fresh coat of paint. And Nomura has now confirmed that to be fact. The battle system is going to be different. We don't know what that battle system is going to be, but it's not going to play the same. We know that there are going to be changes to the story. That is super concerning.
What?
Super concerning. This is where I start to get really like, I don't want it. Because you know, and I had this feeling in my gut for years, if they ever did it, gameplay and story were not going to be the same. And he says, oh, I'm really excited because we have our original scenario writer writing for us again, and that's great and all, but you know, like, the tone of the Final Fantasy VII universe has changed over time. Like, you guys realize this, right? Because Advent Children, the tone is wicked different. Now, granted, a lot of crap has happened to that world, so in a way it makes sense, but there's very little fun happening in it, aside from, woo, they're doing all these crazy things, which he only made because he thought it just plain looked cool, and he's absolutely a style over substance kind of director.
Right.
I'm very concerned that, for example, things like Crisis Core, which happens before the events of Final Fantasy VII, is going to include things like the character Genesis.
Famously played by Gact.
By Gact. The character design the model is based on Gact's appearance, and in Japanese it's even voiced by Gact. And that was because Gact, sang a theme song for the game, and I believe for Dirge of Cerberus as well.
Yes, Redemption.
Redemption! So, I'm super... Because that character was so...
I thought I had it in arm's reach, but okay.
It's there.
It's somewhere.
That character is so only inserted because they needed star power behind that game, and otherwise he's a completely unnecessary character. And now we know that the Deep Ground organization or whatever from Dirge of Cerberus was supposedly there the whole time, but not really, because we never saw them until Dirge of Cerberus, and I'm so scared they're
Yes, somebody in the chat remembers Surge Derberus.
Yeah, Surge Derberus. I'm so scared they're going to try and insert Deep Ground in there where it didn't need to be. And these are just things that, like, I feel like they change what Final Fantasy VII was. And here's what kind of shocks me, is that I'm looking around at all these comments. People have clamored for a remake of this game for so long, but they don't realize that once they get it, they're not going to want it anymore, because they're going to be pissed off by something.
Well,
it's going to be the voice acting, or the gameplay, or something.
It's that old adage, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it.
Mm-hmm.
Or really that whole thing of, you've got a genie who's too literal, and if you're not very specific with what you're wishing for, you're going to get screwed over. And the thing about it is, this game, so many people have, like other titles like, say, Kingdom Hearts, have their hopes and dreams riding on this game because it means so much to them. And the reason it means so much to them is the original game had so much heart and atmosphere, changed the way we looked at games for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Because up until that point, they were doing things that you hadn't seen in games
Yeah, we
yet.
hadn't seen anything like it. And granted, some of those elements, yes, they've aged poorly. But there's a charm in going back to it and realizing this was the pinnacle of everything at that moment in time. And I feel like we're gonna lose it and we're gonna forget about it.
Because the thing you were saying to me the other day was, this isn't so much, they say the words right here, remake. But really it feels more like a reboot.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been saying. And again, looking at people commenting, they're saying, oh, I hope they don't change the battle system, and then other people are like, no, the battle system was crap, and we know we've moved on since that battle system to far better battle systems. It should be more like the battle system in 10-2, which I agree is actually quite a good battle system. For all that's wrong with 10-2, I think it's a good battle system. Or they'll say, no, we need to leave the story as it is. No, we need to add more things to the story. We need to add...
Keep Eris alive!
People who want to keep Eris alive, which would
see,
completely and utterly alter...
Invalidate so much of the story, so much of the weight of the story, because the whole point of Eris dying is to prove the totality of certain things happening that you can't do anything about.
So, that just goes to show you, they're not going to be able to please everybody because everybody, for some reason, wants something different. Despite the fact that they all think they want the same thing, they do not. They absolutely do not. And on top of that, it further makes me wonder, for all the people who are begging for changes, doesn't that invalidate all the times you ever said Final Fantasy VII is the best game? What happened to it being such a good game that it's just good the way it was?
And
I think these people were lying or were wearing such bizarre nostalgia goggles that alters their view on reality, you know?
Now, see, the other thing we wanted to bring up with the little bit of time we've got is this actually further proves why certain other titles like, say, Kingdom Hearts 3 or Final Fantasy 15 are taking so long, because now we understand that the staff had been pulled to start working on this.
Yeah, and specifically Tetsuya Nomura, who was the director of Final Fantasy 15 for years and years and years, and it was like going nowhere, and neither was Kingdom Hearts 3. And they pulled him, and they were like, alright, we gotta get you back on Kingdom Hearts 3 and other projects. now we know
what the other
projects were. And just realize, like, the other parts of Square Enix are doing quite well. In fact, at the Square Enix conference, which actually was probably one of the worst conferences of E3.
Which also had a ton of talking.
Very, very boring conference. Eidos was easily floating the boat there. They're releasing tons of games, and they showed tons of gameplay footage for, like, at least 3 different major titles. Tomb Raider, and Hitman, and Just Cause 3, and they're all coming out later this year. Whereas there's 3 major titles on the Square side, Final Fantasy 15, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Final Fantasy VII Remake, that are all in development at the same time under the Square part of the umbrella, whereas Enix is making a Star Ocean game, and is releasing another Dragon Quest game. So the Enix part of the company is doing just fine too. But it's the Squaresoft team that still remains that can't get their crap together, and they are spread too thin. You want to know why it is that we still don't have a release date for games that have been in development for pushing 10 years? There's not even a year.
Nope.
Not even a year. And now you've added, like, this is what you guys wanted. You so badly wanted a Final Fantasy VII Remake that they said, okay, and now all 3 of them probably aren't going to come out until at least 20. That happens, and then they'll have to make an entirely new system to build the games from scratch because we'll have moved on to the next console generation by that time. It's awful. This is the worst thing that they could have possibly announced, despite all these feelings fighting in our hearts about this game, which is a good game. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy, but it is a good game. It doesn't need to happen. I just need you guys to understand that it doesn't need to be a thing, and it's slowing down other projects that we've been waiting on for years.
Well, because to wrap it all up, I think the best way of looking at it is basically if you look at it as Eidos, Enix, and Square all being roommates in the same apartment, there's that one roommate who's like an artist, and they swear they're gonna make rent one of these days, but they're constantly asking you to put up more of the rent while they're working on their projects.
Yes.
That's how it feels to me.
I get that. I completely get that. I'm probably gonna have to stop there. I could go on and on about it.
I know.
I could go on and on, but I won't. But that's what our Q&A portion is for. So for those of you who are live with us here in the chat room, please stick around with us for the next half hour or so, and we'll do Q&A, we'll talk more E3, we'll talk more about whatever you want to talk about. It'll be great.
Yes, absolutely. And in the meantime, if you guys want to talk to us during the week, you can always reach us over on Twitter. I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at Mars Girl.
And that having been said, that's been this episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We'll see you guys next week.
Good night.